This is the bravest boy I've ever seen because he successfully confessed his love for the love of his life in just 20 seconds. However, just a few months ago, Dylan was a troublesome problem child. His father, Benjamin, was very disappointed in him because this was the 4th time his parents had been called in this semester. This time, the reason was that the boy had stolen money from the school. But compared to his misbehavior, the principal was more worried about the darkness in his heart. At the school's Love and Peace Art Festival, the students' paintings all showed the beautiful side of life, but Dylan's painting was completely the opposite. Because Dylan already had 3 disciplinary records, the principal had no choice but to expel him according to the rules. He also specifically instructed Benjamin to pay more attention to the children's inner lives. But Benjamin was powerless to do so because his own inner world was also a mess. 6 months ago, Benjamin was the host of an adventure program. He dared to walk through the eye of the storm and remain calm in the killing wind, but the sudden death of his wife forced him to quit his passionate job and become a full-time stay-at-home dad. He not only had to take care of his son and daughter's daily lives, but also worried about their precarious mental state. Without the care of a mother's love, his daughter was always depressed. Teacher Hai was also unable to sleep due to the neighbors' parties every few days. His son also fell into darkness because of his mother's death. His notebook was filled with distorted and gloomy drawings. Seeing the family gradually falling into the abyss of depression, this chapter title made him think of changing his environment and starting a new life. But none of the properties the agent introduced to him met his expectations. Until the car slowly drove into a remote countryside, a huge villa suddenly came into view. It was far from the hustle and bustle of the city, and the interior was spacious and bright enough to be a good place to settle a heart that had lost its memory. He fell in love with this place at first sight, but the agent hesitated and said that the situation of this house was a bit complicated. Just then, a loud shout came from outside the house. This was the house. It turns out this was a bankrupt zoo, covering 18 acres and housing 50 species of animals, including 7 different species. The real estate agency bundled it with the villa, meaning that if Benjamin wanted to live in his dream house, he would have to buy the zoo and its staff along with it, and also take on the responsibility of caring for the animals. Benjamin was certainly not stupid enough to become a sucker, as one wrong move could lead to his bankruptcy. However, in the instant he turned around, he discovered that his daughter had disappeared. After a frantic search, he saw a scene that deeply moved him. His usually melancholy daughter was playing happily with peacocks. Benjamin deliberately spoke to her, but instead of caring, she gave him a bright smile. This was the first time in 6 months he had seen his daughter genuinely happy. To protect this innocent smile, Benjamin immediately decided to buy the place. But without a doubt, this was a very risky decision. His brother, an accountant, strongly opposed it. Because there, not only would one have to endure the inconveniences of life, but also have to take care of the food, water, and waste disposal of dozens or even hundreds of animals. With the little savings in Benjamin's pocket, he estimated that he would soon be bankrupt. But Benjamin felt that he might not be so bad off, because the zoo's main income was in the summer, so if the renovations were completed and the zoo reopened within 5 months, it was possible to turn a profit and maybe even make a fortune. However, when his son Dylan learned that he would be moving to the zoo in the suburbs, he was extremely unwilling. All his friends and all his life were here. Moving to the suburbs would be a no-brainer. So he gave up everything he had. Only his daughter was very happy. Despite the constant opposition from those around him, Benjamin made his mind. He would rather persevere on the road to a new life than let his family remain where they were, relentlessly ravaged by the pain of the past. During the move, Benjamin found a worn-out sweatshirt that his wife used to wear. Although it was now full of tears, the two women decided to keep this precious memory and take it with them as they stepped into the new world. Little did he know that this hoodie would later become his lifeline. His son wore headphones the entire way, refusing to communicate. His silence was a silent protest that made Benjamin waver. However, as they passed that familiar coffee shop, he seemed to see his lost wife again, looking at him with a reassuring gaze, as if encouraging him to firmly move towards a new life. Soon they arrived at their destination. Although Benjamin knew nothing about the zoo, fortunately there were still a few employees still working there. They are all experts with over 10 years of experience and genuinely love animals. They will assist Benjamin in managing the zoo. The leader is named Kelly. Her younger sister is only 13 years old, but she's half a head taller than 14-year-old Dylan. His unwavering gaze makes her feel somewhat uncomfortable. After getting to know each other, Kelly introduced the zoo's basic situation to her family. The North American male tiger was emotionally unstable and needed medication. The Bengal tiger was terminally ill and needed euthanasia. In addition, all the infrastructure, including the fences and railings, needed renovation. In short, everything cost money. But Benjamin seemed nonchalant and even indifferent to such a complicated and labor-intensive task, making Kelly suspect that this layman didn't care at all about the zoo's reconstruction. "You have no idea what we've been dealing with here. We need somebody who can really take charge of this place, or else we and all these animals are gone. So your question is, why did you buy this place?" This unexpected answer left Kelly completely bewildered. She silently labeled Benjamin as unreliable, predicting he wouldn't last long like his previous buyers, leaving halfway through the project. But in the quiet of the night, Benjamin was alone sorting through those complicated bills. It wasn't that he didn't care about the zoo's reconstruction, he was just used to solving problems on his own. The next day, he had a string of tools hanging from his waist, followed by a pile of wooden stakes to build a new enclosure for the porcupines. But it seemed the animals weren't welcoming their new owner. Ah! After being driven away by the porcupines, Benjamin went to the zebras' territory to build a jade pendant for them. Although his brother didn't support him verbally, he would drive 2 hours every day to help. He was curious why Benjamin insisted on taking on this mess, even at the risk of going bankrupt. Benjamin replied earnestly, "When I saw my usually gloomy daughter Rosie come here and enjoy herself every day, I made up my mind to keep the zoo running. I believe this is a sanctuary for our family to get out of the shadows and sadness." But in fact, Benjamin has somewhat neglected his son's feelings. Dylan was not happy after moving to the zoo. Every night he would hold a photo of himself with his mother and grieve alone. During the day, he would hide in a corner and draw the dark side of his inner world. But Lily, who was about the same age as Dylan, would always approach him intentionally or unintentionally, and even thoughtfully bring him a sandwich. But the more enthusiastic Lily was, the more at a loss Dylan seemed. Looking at his distorted drawings, Lily said that she liked them very much, but the only flaw was that the content was too dark. In order to get more opportunities to get to know each other, Lily said that she would bring Dylan a sandwich every day after work. Although Dylan looked reluctant, his subconscious habit of checking his watch every day betrayed his anticipation. It was clear that they were in a state of mutual affection and cherished their few daily meetings. Lily's sandwich brought her a ray of sunshine into his gloomy life. Since her mother's death, someone had shown her such care. A long-lost smile appeared on Dylan's face.
Meanwhile, her father, Benjamin, was busy with checks and bills. The savings in the account were dwindling, and whether they could reopen before summer became a new worry for Benjamin. That evening, because Kelly was in a hurry to take care of some personal matters, the remaining cleanup work was left to Benjamin. He asked his son to check the warehouse to make sure everything was normal, and then turned off the lamp inside. He then took his daughter to Tiger City to give medicine to the seriously ill and elderly Spa. But Spa seemed to know that he was about to die and refused to take the medicine. He just lay on the ground and kept wailing. The correct thing to do was to euthanize him, but Benjamin refused to agree to it. He always believed that Spa would get better one day, and his son, who came to the warehouse on the other side, found a locked